Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Caregiver and Spoonie podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Banderas. And thank you again for all the support, the emails, the comments, the likes, and the feedback I've been receiving. Obviously, the podcast is getting better at all thanks to your feedback. And thank you for your stories that you're sharing. I'm actually talking to a lot of you, and at one point I'm gonna be actually posting your stories, obviously, if you guys with you guys' permission. And before we get started, let's go ahead and remind you of this. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode of this podcast. Now let's get into today's episode. Somebody sent me a question on email asking me what was my opinion in regards to either medical marijuana or recreational marijuana. Well, my opinion in regards to medical marijuana is that if it helps you with whatever you're facing right now, like if you're in pain, anxiety, depression, or something that it helps you, and you decide to try medical marijuana and it helps you with your pain or anything like I mentioned, then I'm fine with it. Like you're not like what's the way that I see it. The way that I see this, and that's why I don't really have an opinion or a bad opinion against. I'm not against it. I'm for it, because the way that I see it is like, for example, with my wife, we actually have talked about this. Like if she ever decides to try medical marijuana or something like that, she can. You know, like for me, there's not a problem, because I see her take Lortabs. I see her take all these muscle relaxers and all this medicine, and I also see that sometimes it doesn't help. But we know people that actually have smoked one joint, and they say like, oh, it makes my body numb, so I don't feel anything. I don't feel the pain. Lortab doesn't touch my pain in this way. Like they say, like marijuana touches my pain in a different level. Like it calms it. It makes me have like extra few minutes of life, you know. And I'm not saying go for it. It's up to you. I'm not like telling you like, oh, you have to try it. No, what I'm saying is like, if you decide to do it, it's up to you. Nobody has to know. Nobody needs to. You don't need to tell anybody. If you feel judged, who's judging you? Are you judging yourself? And you gotta remember this, just like I mentioned in this story with my wife. Like, if she decides to try it and it helps her, and she, let's say, doesn't have to take opiates, or she doesn't have to take all this extra medicine that probably is not helping her the way that she wants to be helped, and she smokes or she tries weed one form or another and it helps her, then I'm okay with it, because even with the research that I've done, I haven't found anybody that has died from smoking marijuana, from ingesting marijuana. There are other issues that can happen, like there's a hypermesis. I can't remember right now. Sorry, and I forgot to write it down. It kind of makes you sick. It's kind of like you being like you can't take the weed, like the THC, like it makes you sick, but it makes you puke. I know I read this story about somebody dying from it, but he didn't die from the weed. It's just that his body wasn't able to take the THC, and he just kept smoking, so he actually got so dehydrated that his body shut down because he was puking. So it wasn't the weed, it was like the body wasn't taking it. He was supposed to take a break, he didn't do it, and unfortunately the guy passed away. So there's nobody that I have seen. And if you know anybody, or you have a story that you want to share, I would like you to send it to me, because I haven't found anybody or any stories that say like, oh, smoking marijuana caused him, or taking marijuana has caused this person to die. That's one of the things that I want to emphasize, because for some reason marijuana has such a bad rep. I don't know why, but one of the things that you have to remember, and this is all in the history, I don't know why it's not in the history books. Sorry, it's not in the history books, but you can actually Google it. Back in the day, in the 30s, 20s, even way before, like in the 1800s, in the late 1800s, you will get hemp prescribed. some people, some doctors or pharmacists will give you marijuana. I remember I found this online in about Mexico. Like, you will be able to get back in the day marijuana prescribed and hemp, and they will make marijuana creams to help you with pain. But then something changed. Something went bad against it, or somebody decided to say like, oh, marijuana is bad, but there's no proof right now that is bad for you. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm pro choice at that point. You can choose to do it, you can choose to not do it. It's up to you. Nobody has to know, nobody has to tell you what to do. And one of the things that happens with medical marijuana is that doctors don't know anything about it. They just say like, the example that I'm gonna give you here is about Utah. If you're from out of state, you might not know, but in order for us to pass Proposition 2, which will allow medical marijuana, it took such a big effort, and then it passed, and then it was changed because I guess it was too liberal or something like that. That's what they say. Well, it doesn't work for the people. Like, for example, me and my wife talked to a doctor the other day, and we were like, oh, can she have a medical marijuana card if she decides to? And what did they say is like, well, it's hard to prove that you're in chronic pain. Like, my wife wouldn't be able to get a card for medical marijuana because her conditions are hard to prove. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what's wrong with that system? So if we decide to do it, obviously we will have to go somewhere else, to another state like Nevada, to get like good medical marijuana and bring it to the state. But it's like, it sucks that sometimes, unfortunately, people don't understand that marijuana is not the same as taking opiates, and it's not the same as alcohol. Like, it's not the same. And the way that I also see it is that people say like, oh, marijuana is like alcohol, and I'm like, well, if it's like alcohol, how come one is illegal and the other one is not? That's just my thinking. That's the way that I think. I'm thinking outside the box at this point. So that's pretty much what I want to let you know is like, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you decide to try it and it works for you, maybe you want to share your story, because a lot of people are suffering out there. A lot of people are suffering. And another thing that you have to consider, if you're thinking about it, is that I don't know if in the state that you're on, they're limiting the amount of opiates that you get prescribed by your doctor. This is what's happening here in Utah. My wife needs pain medication. They only give her 5 for a whole month. 5. What is she supposed to do? Lick it and then just put it back in the container or in the bottle? Like, what? How are you supposed to deal with your pain? Like, that's one of the things that I don't understand, and it infuriates me, because it's like this. It's like a lot of people are like, oh, medical marijuana is bad, blah blah blah. It's because of my beliefs. It's like, don't give me your beliefs. Let me try it. Let me see if it works for me, because it's not about you. It's about what the patients need. Like my wife, like you, like if you know somebody, like, so it could be somebody in your family right now that it's in a lot of pain, and you might have heard about medical marijuana and be like, hey, why don't you try it? And they're like, no, because of this. What if people know? What if people blah blah blah? You know, like, there's always something. Like, don't worry about that. Nobody has to know. And the other thing about this is why I like this question. CBD. A lot of people think that CBD is the same as regular marijuana, which has THC. THC is tetrahydrocannabinoids, which is the psychoactive ingredient. And I don't know if I say it right. That's what I remember right now. I didn't write it down. Maybe I'm going to write it down next time. But that's pretty much what it is, the psychoactive ingredient. CBD gets that removed. If you get CBD from a reputable source is not gonna have, or is not supposed to have, THC. And it actually does help. It helps you with pain, it helps you with anxiety. I have tried CBD and it has helped me. There's a place around close to where I live where they sell pure CBD. And I have tried CBD from other places and it has flavor in it. And on this one, and I just want to let you know the story because I want you to be informed. The guy is all like, oh, this is the best CBD, all of this. And I'm like, I have tried a few brands. Let's try yours. So he gives me the tincture and he puts it in a little cup. I drink it and you can taste the plant. You don't get high from it. But then I realized that I was more calm after that. Like, it helped me. It helped my wife. My wife tried it and she was like, wow, I feel less anxious. And I'm like, did you notice the flavor? And even the guy is all like, yeah, did you notice the flavor? That means that we're using 100% of the plant. You're tasting the plant. CBD is not supposed to have flavor, especially if you drink it. If it's like a tincture or anything like that, where you have to put it in your mouth, you should be able to taste the hemp in this situation, like the actual plant. And I know friends that smoke weed, they do dab and they do weed, and I ask them, hey, is it the same with regular marijuana? And they're like, yeah. If you get some good dab, if you get a good cartridge or a good vape, you're gonna taste that plant because that means that you're getting the whole shebang pretty much. So that's one of the things that you have to understand. You have to, if you decide to do it, you have to educate yourself about it. And if you decide to do it with somebody you trust, because you might freak out. Just take a little smoke, do a little dab, get a cartridge, get whatever. Like I said, I'm not promoting it. I'm just telling you, if you decide to do it, I'm just trying to inform you. Hey, no, you shouldn't worry about anybody trying to bring you down because you smoke. Nobody has to know. Now, if your job, if your job is doing like drug testing, obviously you have to think about that. There's a lot of things to think about, and a lot of people don't think about these things. And I know because, like, for example, at my job, I know that a lot of people are smoking weed a lot. And when I talk to them, they're like, oh, it helps me and everything. So it helps me a lot. It actually calms me down. And because we're doing customer services, that it lets me talk to the customer. Or it lets me drive. I don't recommend it to drive. I know a lot of people that they're like, I'm anxious without it. If I don't smoke, when I'm driving, I'm anxious. And when I smoke, I actually am more calm. So it's up to you. It's pretty much however it affects you. Hopefully, if you ever decide to try it, you try it. And if it works for you, good. If it doesn't, at least you try it. Nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to know. And don't believe everything that they say about marijuana, that is the devil's lettuce or something like that. Make that decision on your own. Research it. Do the research that you need in regards to medical marijuana, because like I said before, this was used for medical purposes back in the day, and this is true until for some reason somebody decided to say like, no, that's illegal, and then we start to get like medications and things like that. If it helps, good. If it doesn't, at least you try. That's all I'm gonna say, because a lot of people have a lot of opinions in regards to this. I just know that if my wife decides to try it, she can try it. If I decide to try it, I will try it, and nobody will know. Pretty much, like that's the truth. Like I know a lot of people that have smoked from like their teenage years, and they're around my age, which is like 33, and they're doing fine. Yeah, they might have some grogginess or things like that, but it's like, hey, they're living their life. Let them. Like, would you rather be in a lot of pain, taking medications that can make you sick? Or, for example, if you have to take opiates and you take one and then your body starts to adjust to it, and you have to take more and more and more. Unfortunately, with opiates, at one point you could die. That's the problem. That's why I said like, I haven't been able to find somebody or a news article or research that says like a specific research, like scientific research that says marijuana kills. And that's why I'm all for it, because opiates do kill. Medications, unfortunately, you can overdose, and with marijuana, I haven't heard of anybody overdosing. And if you want to contradict me on that one, I know that there's a lot of people that are gonna try to contradict me. It's like, no, marijuana is bad. That's what my mom said. No, here's the thing though. You want to prove me wrong, or send me a video, and talking about video, look at this video. There's a video on YouTube about a guy that actually smoked a 50-gram dab. Now, if you don't know what dab is, that is actually the most potent form of marijuana. It's like pure THC. It is very strong, and this guy smoked a 50-gram dab. Now, 50 grams is a lot. You do that with regular medicine, like opiates, benzos, or whatever, you're gonna die. You can do that with weed and you don't die. You just don't feel your body for like a whole day, and you're not in pain. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. I know it's a lot of ranting and whatever, but I just wanted to go free flow on this with this question, because I honestly believe that it is your choice. If you want to smoke, smoke. If you want to try it, try it. If you don't, you don't. But don't criticize anybody for it, and don't let anybody bring you down if you decide to do it. It's your choice. If you're a Spoonie and you're in pain and you decide to do it, if you see that it helps you, great for you. If you're a caregiver and you're under a lot of stress and you decide to do it and it helps you with your stress to be more calm, good for you. That's all I'm gonna say. Thank you for listening today. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for all your support. And like I said, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And also, if you want to share your story, don't forget to send it to me. And you can do it anonymously at the Caregiver and Spoonie@gmail.com. Also, you can post it on our Facebook group. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And also YouTube. I almost forgot about that. Thank you. Have a great day. And I'll leave you like this. As always, take care of yourself.